I'm having that with this part. Oh, that one.
Yes.
Okay, so that, all right, so I need to look at, I need to see if that's in the bid or not. That's gonna be,
It's got its own little check and then it's easy to.
when I look at that, I can compare to what we did out in Greenville. If that's not, that's gonna be $100,000.
Seriously?
Yeah, that'll be $100,000. So
They
when you,
can't, can they just like chip seal it or whatever?
oh, we could chip seal for probably once.
Okay.
Problem with chip sealing
It doesn't
We gotta do it again
matter.
in 2 years.
I know.
it. So, you know, it's just looking at what I need to know. I need the HVAC budget to get wrapped up,
Right.
so I can see exactly where we stand
Okay.
on that campus. And then, because the HVAC is supposed to be under, originally they were thinking 750, but it's gonna probably come in somewhere about $500,000 under. But we're over right now on the paving world. Yeah, so right, you know, that's like we're saying, right?
Anything having to.
So, has he sent it to us, he sent it to someone pizza. That I've got to get one big map and say, okay, what are we, what's been done, what's outstanding, and what's been added. And see where this chunk of real estate is, because of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, they
So,
were-
so that 14,000 is, that's all, that's along this edge, and then along
So
this
text it,
edge
Jody,
right here.
A reminder, just in case.
What's that?
Texted a reminder to Jody, just in case she didn't put it on her calendar.
I mean.
We still have
they
Christmas
can get
trees
you-
up.
We're gonna do it all through, they're winter
But,
rates.
I know. But people-
We need something that's
Regular.
kind of breaks
Set everything on. We're good? Except for the time.
That's it.
We're live.
Yeah, we're live.
Mhm.
Call to order the USD special board meeting. Flag salute, I'll go ahead and do that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Simon, Edmund, Harrison, Keller.
Here.
Reed. Here.
Seeking approval of the USD agenda for this meeting.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Doesn't appear to be any public input, would that be correct?
There it is.
Okay, our first item at the special meeting is a general fund report.
So we are seeking approval for 5 general fund. These are expenditure contracts. When looking at the spreadsheet that's attached, the first one, HMR Architects, that's for the architectural work, the ball field out at Greenville for the fire, so that actually will bill back to the insurance. It's within that scope of work. We've formal communications doing some emergency sound repairs at replacing the system that burned up UHS gym. Mousing Brothers, they are also doing the cabinets at the apartment renovation. They're also doing the doors so we can secure and make those weatherproof. And then we have the final is for Hammer Construction to move to the 3rd unit, which will be the last contract we'll approve for the renovation there. And that progress is moving very nicely. So
Sorry, question. SRS business status secure rural schools?
yes. Yes.
And
Any more questions?
seeking approval of the contracts. I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, we have bus quote for purchase.
So we had the bus quote on at the last meeting, gave you information, bring back for approval. I know there was some concerns about financing the bus of over 10 years, taking on long-term debt. So the total quote is $450,000. What we're going to do, we have some one-time money that we have a pot of one-time money that's going to expire in about 16 months. We're going to make an initial payment on these 2 buses in an amount of 1/3 to reduce the interest will be charged. And then still that will help us keep a large chunk of that money intact in case we have a large expense that we need to put it towards. Should we not, we will then take that money and pay the buses off at the end of year 2. And if in the very worst case, our intention is we're going to pay a third, pay the buses off in 3 years, which will save us around $75,000 in interest. And then that will put us in a cycle. Then at year 4, we can purchase another bus and then purchase a new bus every 3 years. Anyone have any questions about plan or about our bus fleet, anything like that?
I didn't see that new new schedule attached to the agenda? I just saw the original.
We're going to, they don't finance over 3 years.
Okay,
So what we're going to do is it's a simple interest loan, nothing is front loaded. And we will have that in writing before we secure the buses. Everything that we're trying to do is about cash management. If something were to happen and we needed to extend that and decrease those payments, then we would have that option by doing this. We're trying to manage our cash flow, keep our big chunks of money intact. We're going to have to go back to the company with approval. So, okay, we're going to give you basically $150,000 down as basically your first payment, and then they'll amortize the loan off of that. So then we'll expect, instead of the payments being $57,000 a year, that they'll probably decrease down into the high 30s. And but we want the debt gone in 2 years, so we can be ready to continue replacing an aging fleet.
so they're financing this, right? And
Yep.
so they have not yet approved that.
So we have the offer in front of us for 10,
Mhm.
and it's our flexibility as to we can put down whatever we want.
Okay,
So there's no prepayment.
No prepayment, no prepayment penalties. The minimum we can come up with to make this happen is the first payment of it's $57,000. That's our minimum we have to do.
okay.
But we're going to accelerate that to the request of the board and the finance office. That's a good plan. All right. Questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I previewed this to you a
Mhm.
couple days ago. How many buses do we have?
Okay, so we have, I sent your questions to Kyle. And Kyle responded to me in an email. Okay, so we currently have 30 school buses. 28 of them are in PUC yards. We have 2 of them that are leased by Plymouth Sierra. And we do all the service on those. The 2 lease buses by Plymouth Sierra right now are currently broke down, so they have 2 loaner buses that not only do they pay for the lease, then they also pay for the mileage on the loaner buses that we're incurring there. Of our current fleet, 13 of them are currently out of service.
Are we out of service forever or temporarily?
Okay, so of those, 3 are very old. They're not worth repairing. There's no benefit in doing that. 5 need very extensive, very costly repairs. And then 5 are in state of repair or diagnosis. So that equates those 13. We currently have 15 that are in use on a route or as a spare, as a backup bus. If they're fairly operational, the 32 passenger diesel buses, the shorter ones, there's a little bit of a market for them in the motor coach world, because they call them stoolies and they customize them. But even then, you don't get a lot for them. And the ones that are non-operational, if we were to scrap them, we have to pay now because they're not worth the effort. And they're extremely time consuming for a scrapyard to dismantle them because of how they're built. They're designed to protect students. So to scrap them, we would be lucky if we get a scrapyard to come take them for free. And us not have to pay the huge tow charge. So
Have you tried to sell any?
once we do this, we can bring them forward to clear them surplus. And then we can put them out there as a closed bid and see if there's people that want them. Happy to work with Kyle to do that. We need to get them out of our space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I'm gonna ask, I read an article a couple of weeks ago, folks are buying buses and other vehicles, large vehicles that can't be used anymore, and they're converting them to dwellings. There's another secondary market for that.
Yeah.
The superintendent in Scared Columbus has one. And when you walk into it, it's all custom painted, but when you walk into it, as soon as you walk into it and close the door, you forget it's a school bus.
Yeah.
It's got hardwood custom cabinets, real beds. I mean, it's amazing. So,
Cool.
any more questions?
No, I'll make a motion to approve.
First and second. Sounds like there's no more questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposition, motion carries. Any future agenda items we want to discuss or mention? Or doesn't seem like it. Boy, 10 minutes is pretty good. And our next meeting, send me up February 8th.
Yes.
February 8th at 4 p.m. Right now, adjourn the USD special board meeting.
Thank you so much. We wanted to, they're flying off the lot down there. You know, everybody is panicking on, you know, when are they going to finally drop the hammer and